Welcome to sqadia.com. Today our lecture topic is the nervous system, and now we are on the section 3 of this lecture, and we will be discussing the supporting cells or the neuroglia. As you know, the nervous system is mainly made up of nerves, and what is the function of the nerve is actually to conduct impulses. But then there are other cells which are also present in the nervous system which have a supporting role, and these includes astrocytes and oligodendrocytes. These are one of the most important component of the supporting structure of the nervous system. Then there are two different types of cells, as the fibrous astrocytes and protoplasmic astrocytes. We'll be discussing them in detail in this section. Neuroglia. The neurons of the central nervous system are supported by several varieties of non-excitable cells, which together are called neuroglia. Why they are called neuroglia? Because they are not like nerves; they cannot be excited. So these are those cells which are actually supporting and helping out the nervous system to function properly. These include astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, microglia, ependyma or ependymal cells. So what are astrocytes? Astrocytes have small cell bodies with its branching processes that extend in all directions. There are two types of astrocytes, which is the fibrous and protoplasmic. Now, fibrous and protoplasmic astrocytes are actually present inside the central nervous system. Functions of the astrocyte include astrocytes with their branching processes form a supporting framework for the nerve cells and the nerve fibers. By covering the synaptic contents between the neurons, they may serve as an electrical insulators. Astrocytes may serve as a phagocytes by taking up degenerative synaptic axon terminals following the death of the neurons due to disease. Astrocytes proliferate and fill in the spaces previously occupied by neuron, a process called replacement gliosis. For example, if for any reason, for example, in multiple sclerosis or in other diseases, if neurons are damaged, or if there's amyloidosis and the neurons become damaged, then problem is that these neurons do not regenerate, and the space cannot be just left alone. So instead, this free space is still filled up by astrocytes, and the way they filled up this is called as the replacement gliosis. That they actually replaced the astrocytes replaced the damaged neurons which have actually degenerated. Coming to the oligodendrocytes. Oligodendrocytes have a small cell bodies and a few delicate processes. There are no filaments in their cytoplasm. Oligodendrocytes are frequently found in the rows along the myelinated nerve fibers and surrounded by nerve cell bodies. Oligodendrocytes are responsible for the formation of myelin sheath of the nerve fiber in the central nervous system, much as the myelin of the nerve fibers of the peripheral fibers from the Schwann cells. As you know, the peripheral nervous system, we just discussed that how the spinal nerves are actually coming out to form the peripheral nervous system. The different plexuses were formed. The myelination of the peripheral nervous system was done by the Schwann cells. While in the central nervous system, which consists of the brain and the spinal cord, the myelination is the major function is done by the oligodendrocytes. Now, this is a classical example showing how oligodendrocytes is actually doing the myelination. As you can appreciate over here, this is the node of Ranvier. This is the axon of nerve of a central nervous system, and only one cell may cover as much as 60 neurons. So actually, it keeps on dividing and winding around around the nerve, so that it covers through a thick layer of insulation called as myelin sheath. Now, what are the fibrous and protoplasmic astrocytes? Fibrous astrocytes are found mainly in the white matter, where their processes pass between the nerve fibers. Each process is long, slender, smooth, and not much branched. The cell bodies and the processes contain many filaments in their cytoplasm. Now they have a role in supporting as well, so that these fibrous actually have, as you can appreciate over here, this is a protoplasmic, these are the ependymal cell, and this is a fibrous astrocytes. It is actually connecting a capillary along with this. It's actually kind of providing a supporting framework, so that the capillaries which are present inside the brain, they can nourish the brain structures properly. Now, once the substances which are present in this, the oxygen and the nutrients would diffuse across over here in this space, where they will be taken up by the neurons. It can also be taken up with the protoplasmic astrocytes. While the fibrous astrocytes do not have a much nuclei and other elements, because they are not metabolically very active types of cells, but they have a lot of microfilaments in which they anchor themselves along these capillaries, so that not only a role of anchorage is taken place, so the role of a stabilization is always there for the fibrous astrocytes. Protoplasmic astrocytes are found mainly in the gray matter, where their processes pass between the nerve cell bodies. Thicker, their processes are shorter, thicker, and more branched than those of the fibrous astrocytes. The cytoplasm of these cells contains fewer filaments than that of the fibrous astrocytes. Now, they are more cytoplasmic, although they do not have much of filament. That is, they do not have a role in anchorage mainly, but they are present along with the nerve cells, and they have a major role in the replacement glycolysis which takes place in our body. In this section, we have covered the two major neuroglial cells. What is a neuroglia? Neuroglials are actually supporting structures which are present in the nervous system. We have covered astrocytes. We covered what is the function of astrocytes and how they have a role in replacement gliosis. Then we have covered what is the major function of the oligodendrocytes, that is the myelination in the central nervous system. Then we have briefly covered the anatomy of fibrous astrocytes and protoplasmic astrocytes, which are the two different types of astrocytes, and how their different structure actually suits them to the kind of a role they have in the central nervous system supporting systems. Thank you very much. Keep watching sqadia.com.